Good morning. I'm going to be trying something a little different today. I'll be running a PowerPoint presentation with quotations related to my topic, but I'm not going to be speaking directly to it, and I hope that's not going to be too distracting for you. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe in the value and the power of the individual, that we as human beings have a right to live freely and pursue that which motivates us, not because some man or government says so, but because these are natural, God-given rights. Okay. What is liberty? Liberty is the power to do as one pleases, the power of choice. It is the quality or state of being free and able to decide. Napoleon Bonaparte said, "Nothing is more difficult and therefore more precious than being able to decide." There are a number of ways in which our liberty can be limited. We accept the loss of liberty for compelling public benefit. But what is the standard, and who gets to decide? Is it moral? It depends. Restricting your freedom to prevent you from drunk driving? Certainly. Restricting your freedom to prevent you from reading about certain ideas? Loss of political freedom is not a series of unrelated events. A current example is the progression of government involvement in healthcare. We began with Medicare, then Medicaid, and now the recent reform, which has cost us our right to be uninsured. What's next? The loss of our right to smoke or to eat French fries due to compelling public benefit? We can voluntarily set some of our freedoms aside for possessions, a job, a family. Voluntary and temporary setting aside of our rights is moral because it is our choice. The Christian view of liberty is freedom from the power of sin. Galatians 5:1 says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free, and do not be entangled again in a yoke of bondage." Galatians 5:13, "For you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." 1 Peter 2:16, yet not using liberty as a cloak for vice, but as bondservants of God. We are given the gift of liberty from God, and we are free to choose how we will use it, but our choices have consequences. How does collectivism square with the concept of individual rights and liberties? While the acceptance of the absence of liberty, what Geert Hofstede would refer to as power distance, is greater in some societies, I believe that the desire for freedom resides in every human heart. Peter Dorfman et al., in their article on leadership processes, said, "Japanese managers typically outline general objectives, make vague group assignments, and generally let subordinates use their own approaches to achieve overall objectives. The phrase, 'omakase, I trust you can do it,' reflects this approach. Although only medium on collectivism, Asian scholars describe the Japanese as placing strong emphasis on group harmony and collective, not individual responsibility. This demonstrates that the power of individual choice, even when the culture has a collective orientation." Liberty is directly related to our prosperity and is a source of our well-being. There's a lot of talk right now about creating jobs. I wonder how many of those jobs will be created by government, and how many will be created by individuals who are unencumbered by government. Freedom to fail is necessary for growth. Those of us that are finishing the MBA program may remember the frustration we felt at the lack of guidance the first time Jim Steele turned us loose to do a group discussion project. We did the best we could, and we learned from the experience. Eventually, we came to realize that they had deliberately introduced ambiguity to our experience that we might learn and grow. While some courses are more rigidly designed than others, The trend throughout the program has been towards greater flexibility and decision authority. Ronald Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Liberty is a gift from the previous generations. Will you pass it on or selfishly trade it for temporary profit and safety? To borrow a line from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility." What can we do to pass it on? We can stay informed and vote for elected officials that believe the governed are more important than the state. Like our choice of how we use our Christian liberty, elections have consequences. We can be an active voice for liberty to our leaders. We can resist the allure of being offered benefits and promises of security in exchange for our autonomy. Alexander Hamilton said, "In the general course of human nature, a power over a man's sustenance amounts to a power over his will," end quote. The modern tool of centralized control is excessive taxation. Loss of political freedom is a process and not a series of unrelated events. Stand against any loss of liberty with no compromise, even if it does not affect you directly. We can promote or support people within our organizations who believe that the individual is the true power. People who will give the power to choose to subordinates whenever they can and thereby lead them to grow. We can model the behavior we wish to see and in so doing bless others. As leaders, we can choose to challenge people to grow by giving them new opportunities and challenging them with new ideas and choices. A leader can intentionally introduce ambiguity. We can look inward for solutions while at the same time resisting those who would disable our freedom to choose. These could be political, organizational rules, or administrative regulations. Freedom to choose imparts risk. Some people and professions we will encounter within our organizations are more or less accepting of risk. The risk-averse and the visionary entrepreneurial perspectives can be opposing forces. A leader avoids having all of one or the other set direction for an organization, which could result in stagnation and dysfunction. We can continue our personal growth, acknowledging in humility our failures, and that there is still much we have to learn. Most importantly, we must take action to improve ourselves. So to wrap up, we can endeavor to understand the meaning of events. We can model the behaviors that promote growth, and we can preserve what we have, and thereby pay the gift of liberty forward. Thank you for your attention.
Do you have any questions for Anthony and freedom or liberty, as it were? So did you find any differences between freedom and liberty?
I looked at that, and there are, after you mentioned it, there is some, freedom is a synonym for liberty. There are some connotations of liberty as being a dispensation for, sailors getting liberty, that kind of thing. But the meaning is generally the same,
Okay.
at least as I mean it.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Anthony. That was great.